Welcome to part one of the Facebook Live series, Social Media Manager Startup. I am Danielle Welch, and I am the owner and founder of Bridge Consulting and Design, and I am so excited to begin sharing for the first time ever my personal journey of starting a social media marketing and management business. Just to give you a little bit of background before we dive into today's material, I started my own social media marketing and management business back in the summer of 2018. It was July when I got it started. I began kind of just doing some freelance website design outside of what I was doing at my full-time job. I have 5.5 years of experience as a marketing consultant. I worked for 2 different marketing agencies prior to starting my own company. And I'm going to share with you guys more in the future about why I made that transition. But just so you guys know, I was able to start this company and within 3 months replace my full-time income. And by month number 9, I hit my first 5-figure month in my own stay-at-home, like self-employed business as a social media marketer. And today, what I want to talk to you guys specifically about is a day in the life of a social media manager, right? Because I've been asked a lot from my friends, from family, from some of you that are new friends of mine here in all of the social media world, like, how did you get started in your company? Like, how did you get things going? Like, did you go to college for it and all of that stuff? On day 3 or 4 of this Facebook Live series, I'm actually going to share, like, what does it take to become a social media manager? I'm also going to be sharing some of the top, like, concerns that I had and that I know other people have in becoming a freelancer, you know? So just to kind of paint a little bit of background and picture for you guys, when I was working for different digital marketing agencies, like, first of all, the first job that I had in the industry of marketing and advertising, I had no experience as a consultant. Like, as a marketing consultant, I got a lot of on-the-job training, and in a 4-year time frame, I learned quite a bit about digital marketing and all the things that small businesses need from a marketing perspective. But I really was attracted more to, like, the social media side and the strategy side. So when I was about 25 weeks pregnant with our second child, we've got 2 kiddos. I've got a 4-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. I started this business, and I began, like I said, doing website designs on the side. Had a couple of friends come to me and say, hey, you know, I need a website. And I had previously created a website for one of my mentors, and she was wanting to create, like, a blogging site. So I was like, you know, I'll do it. Like, I like doing that kind of stuff. How did I learn how to do that? Like, legitimately, you guys, this is going to age me, but it's fine. MySpace and Zynga, okay? Like, I was a baller on those websites. Not kidding. Like, I learned HTML code writing in, like, 2001. Just to learn how to program my own MySpace page, and I just kind of liked the idea of creating. I did not go to college for any of this stuff. In fact, I only have an associate's degree in liberal arts, which is not applicable to what I do today. But yeah, so, like, I started with website design, and I started with that because I didn't want it to be a conflict of interest with what I was doing at my current job. Then when me and my employer kind of came to a pass where we were like, okay, this isn't going to work out anymore, you know, with me working there, and it was mutual on both ends, then I stepped into, you know, full-time being self-employed. I'm going to talk later in the series about the conversation that I had with my husband and a mentor of mine and making that move and going from working a secure 40-hour-a-week job to becoming fully self-employed and fully reliant on making my own income. So how did I get this going? Like, what did a day in the life look like for me in the beginning of all of this? So let's start with kind of like season number 1, okay? I don't know why, but I always think of this season as like the fall. I have no idea why. But when I think of seasons, like, season 1 for me was the fall. So it's weird. I know most people think like the first season to think of is like spring because it means newness, but no. So the fall season number 1 of my business was when I was still working a full-time job. Hey, Grace, it's so good to see you here. So glad that you just decided to join. Make sure if you have questions, you drop them. But you know, you guys, I worked my 40-hour-week job. Grace, you can totally relate to this. I worked at my job full time, right? And then outside of my job, my husband and I actually, let me rewind a little bit, 7 years ago, my husband and I got connected to a couple that had been able to create income and wealth in a way that we had never really been exposed to before. They had created it passively. So they actually had taken us under their wing to teach us how to start to do that, right? So that was 7 years ago. So I got connected with those folks. They became mentors in our life, and we're still connected with them today. That's actually our end goal is complete financial independence. But while working my full-time job and still like developing our passive income, and on top of that, I decided, why not? Let's just add a third thing to my plate on top of being a mom, being 25 weeks pregnant. So I started to kind of freelance my skills of website design and a little bit of like marketing consulting outside of all of that. So listen to this, guys. My schedule is I would go to work, right? And 7 to 5-ish when you count in like commute time, get home, spend a little bit of time with my daughter, my husband, you know, if I had like coaching or mentoring meetings with some of the folks that we help in developing more of a passive income, then I do that, you know, dinner, bath, my own like thing that I wanted to do. And then after baby would go to sleep, then with whatever hours I had left in the tank, you know, for the day, I would sit down and I would develop websites, you know, and it really was at the time, it was just a side hustle. At first, it just was like a way to maybe make some extra income more than anything. Like I knew I could help a few of my friends get some websites up. And so in that time frame, and that was like July 2018, by September, I actually had that moment with my employer where we decided like, hey, this isn't going to work anymore. Like me working for you guys, and I've got this other thing. So we ended like my employment, and I went full time into my own social media marketing business. No conflicts of interest anymore. So I could go market myself to small businesses, people in my own network. Actually, I started first with my own network of people that I knew that had small businesses, reached out to them, let them know that I was starting my own thing. And I'd love an opportunity to just hop on a phone call with them and talk to them about their marketing strategy. And so within a few months, by month number 3, like I said, I replaced my corporate income, okay, which is a really cool feeling. I had the ability to work from home. During this time, I had a very rough pregnancy where I was kind of put on like a modified bed rest situation, and I needed to take care of myself. So it was a blessing, really. Like I consider it, like I look back on it and it's like I can see what God was doing during that time of our life, because how much I needed to rest, like with my body, and I couldn't be under a lot of like stress and stuff. Like the job that I had was high stress and you know, things like that. So it was really a blessing, because being able to work from home, you know, not having to stress about things was really beautiful. And so about the first 3 to 6 months in my business, I worked about 40 hours a week. So really leaving the job world to being self-employed, like there wasn't much of a difference except for who was writing the paycheck. Previously it was my employer, and this time it was me, right? So that was really the only difference. But what I'm going to talk about in the next video, which is going to be on Thursday evening, is actually how I went from working my 40-hour-week job to working 40 hours a week for myself. And then it was month number 10 that we generated over $10,000 of revenue with this business. But I worked probably 50 hours a week on average that month to make it happen, with a 3.5-year-old and with a newborn baby and another business and like my own life. And I was nursing and all of that stuff. So like, cool. It was an awesome month for creating a lot of money, but I was exhausted. And I was like, if I want to make that type of revenue for my company and have the ability to scale, like I can't just keep putting more time into my business. I had to figure out a way to decrease the amount of time that I was putting in and increase my value and increase my revenue. So in the next video that I'm going to do on Thursday night, I'm going to talk about how I was able to eliminate about 20 hours a week of work to where then I began only working about 20 to 25 hours a week and averaging about $5,000 a month of revenue. And hey, Phoenicia, and that's where, we're kind of at today is, being able to bring in a very steady $4,000 to $5,000 a month as a social media manager. Today, I work less than 12 hours a week in my business. I get the opportunity to be my kids' #1 influence in their life. And even if you don't have kids at this point, just being able to, you dictate your schedule, I get an opportunity to work when I want to work and have the ability to, influence my kids. I'm their homeschool teacher, and that was decided upon, by the way, pre-COVID. Okay, just so you guys know, my daughter's 4.5. She didn't actually have to start school technically this year, but we went ahead and went for it, doing homeschool. But, with only having to work 12 hours a week and having the opportunity to create the kind of income that we get to create, it has been a blessing. And I just personally, I feel like I'm at this stage in life where as a believer and as a, child of God, I feel like he's asking me to share what I know, because here's the thing, at the end of the day, there's got to be other people out there like me who they know that they can do more, right? And they know that even with just a few hours a week outside of their full-time job, maybe, they can be creating some extra income to pay off debt or whatever it is. My husband and I, we are in a position to where this business for me, social media marketing and management, is not my end goal. I personally, I don't want to trade time for money forever, right? So when I designed my company's name, Bridge Consulting and Design, there was a lot of play on words there. I wanted to bridge the gap for small businesses to social media and help them to understand what they could, learn with social media. I also want, this is a bridge from really kind of the employee quadrant to being not just self-employed, but having complete financial independence, right? Because my husband and I's other business together has generated a healthy enough income for it to be safe for me to make that move, to jump full-time into self-employment. It's what's given us some options, and really just having mentors in our life to be there every single step of the way. So I'm doing this video series for you guys this month to share my journey of becoming a social media manager, really in hopes to inspire you maybe to consider doing something for yourself outside of what you do full-time, and I am just kind of a little sneak peek, I am going to be talking more about a group coaching program that I'm going to be releasing at the end of this month. But really my goal and my hope this month, regardless of if somebody enrolls or applies in that program, is I just want to share my journey and hopefully encourage somebody to step out and maybe do something a little bit different, right? Because maybe you're like me, where you know that the 40-year plan isn't something that you want to do forever, and you are working on creating something that's more long-term for yourself and your family that's passive, right? But maybe you need something to bridge that gap financially, because maybe you do need to stay home with your kids, or maybe you are fed up with the corporate nonsense, or maybe you're somebody who you do want to work the 40-year plan, but they're not paying you what you're worth, and you need to generate some extra income to pay off your debt, or to save for those vacations that you want to, right? We kind of live in this culture of hashtag side hustle, right? And I'm all for that if the expectations are set properly, right? A side hustle is not going to last you forever unless you do something to scale it. And so with this, I know for a lot of my audience, this could just be that bridge that it was for me, right? From being able to leave my job, take the skills that I had developed in my 5.5 years at my employer, and just on the job training, right? But getting that empowerment from my husband and from people in my life, like my mentors, to say, hey, you can go start something on your own, right? And so anyways, all of that to be said, you know, a day in the life for me when I first started my business really did look like I went to work in the evenings. I took care of other priorities, you know, like family and doing things that were necessary to help us get our long-term financial plan in place. And then after my daughter went to sleep or after I was done with the other priorities, then I put a little bit of time and energy into growing this business, right? So that's kind of what my schedule looked like. Another thing with day in the life of a social media manager, which I'm going to talk to you guys more about this in a future video. So you're going to have to come back, right? You're going to have to come back. Yeah, Tanisha, you can totally share this and definitely share this. But, you know, what are some of the things that a social media manager does? Like, that's going to be a whole nother video. But just to kind of set that up, like, a social media manager is in charge of creating all of the content for a business's or an entrepreneur's, you know, social media profiles. So whether that's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. For me personally, I operate best on Facebook and Instagram. I definitely have the ability to do the LinkedIn side of things. But that for me, I actually enjoy the LinkedIn strategy versus the actual management. But a social media manager, really they oversee all the operations of a social media strategy. Why do we need to have social media strategies as small business owners and entrepreneurs? Because guess what, guys? That's where people hang out. You're here with me now. I'm going live on Facebook because going live on YouTube, I have 2 subscribers over there. No one would ever see this, right? So I'm going live where people are hanging out. Well, guess what? Small businesses and entrepreneurs trying to market themselves in front of their audience, which their audience is always on Facebook, Instagram, places like that. There's got to be some management behind it because maybe a small business does not want to do it themselves, right? Like a lot of my clients, they know they need it. They don't want to mess with it, so they hire me to do it, right? And that's what a manager does. So there's content creation, there's engagement management. So you're just monitoring comments and likes. You're also in charge of growing people's followings, coming up with different strategy plans. Hey, this month we should be doing this month we should be doing that. And here's the thing, guys, like, again, I learned all of that over 5.5 years. I didn't go to college for that. I learned it, and there's also some self-taught stuff in there as well. A lot of trial and error. But I also invested myself like into different courses I could take or studying what other successful social media managers have done. For me personally, as a social media manager, I don't mess with ads. I have the ability to, I have the skill set to. Just from a time standpoint, it's not something that I'm really wanting to focus on. But yeah, so in the program that I'm going to be releasing later this month, and I'm trying not to like give too many details on it because I'm still finalizing a couple of things, but we're going to talk about all of this inside of the program. I'm going to train specifically everything that I know about social media management to a very limited group of people. There's going to be an application process involved because we've got to make sure it's the right fit in order to get into the program. And then over a 6-month time frame, I'm going to basically give everything that I've got to these individuals who get approved to be inside of the group program. So all in all, a day in the life as a social media manager, again, whether it's for yourself and you're completely self-employed or it's something that you just do outside of your job, like it can just be something that can create some different financial options for you in the short term, while you're just trying to get on track to wherever it is that you want to get long term. That's what it's been for me. And I'm excited to share more, right? So let me pull up my calendar here because I'm going to hop off here in a minute. I don't want these videos to ever go longer than like 25 minutes because I also told my husband that they wouldn't go longer than that long because he's got the kids at the park right now. But Thursday at 5:30, I'm going to be talking about how I streamlined my processes to go from 40 hours a week to 20 hours a week. And inside of the program, I'll talk about how I went from 20 hours a week to 12 hours a week. But yeah, so I'll be talking about kind of what that journey looked like. On the 14th, I'm going to be talking about what do you need to become a social media manager? Like what experience, and that's a trick statement, but like what do you need specifically to help people with their social media? So we'll be talking about that on the 14th. On the 16th, I want to do a dream building activity with people. I want to talk about, the topic of that is what could an extra $2,000 a month do for you and your family over the next year? Again, for me and my family, this is not the long-term play, but an extra $2,000 a month helped me to have the confidence to go to my husband and say, hey, I would like to leave my job and do this full time. And then I went to my mentor and talked to her about that. And so what could it do for you, right? On the 18th, we're going to talk about what were some of the biggest concerns that I had in becoming a social media manager kind of as a freelancer, right? Because there's a lot of scary parts to this too. And you got to be aware of what those things are. On the 22nd, I'm going to be doing a sneak peek into the major event that I'm going to be doing on the 24th. The 22nd is still kind of up in the air. I might add some more content in there because that one feels a little light. But on the 24th, I'm going to be doing a free training. Basically, that's going to be a live webinar event. You'll have to get registered for it. But basically, just kind of teaching how to start your own social media management business. So that's just going to be a little snippet into the program. And then there might be one bonus video towards the end of the month. I do want to do a live Q&A at some point, probably later in the month, to just answer people's questions that they have about, going out and starting something like this on their own. So anyways, thanks for joining me today. If you joined me live, and if you're catching this on the replay and you have a question about anything that I talked about today, just drop a comment below. This video is going to stay up for a while, and then I'll take it down and I'll be placing it kind of in a vault to save for later. But I'm super excited to share this entire journey with you guys this month. And my prayer is that what I feel like God's asked me to do with this and sharing this message, I just pray that whatever the result is, that it's a blessing to you as you watch, and that you learn something, that you're encouraged, and that it maybe just kind of gives you hope, right? Because the times that we're in is crazy. I think a lot of people are starting to think a little bit outside of the box as far as like what they're doing, kind of for a present day plan B, but also I think it's opened up a lot of people to like, really, what do you want your life to look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and so on. So anyways, hope this was helpful for you. Can't wait to see you guys on the next one on Thursday evening. And so reach out to me if you have any questions, and have a blessed rest of your day. Take care.